Brian, we have a lot of questions for you. I guess I'll start with the first one that we teed up in the intro here. What's the impact on EVs so far from the chip shortage?
EVs, if you look at Tesla, I mean, we don't get U.S. sales results for Tesla, but there are reports of sporadic downtime at their Fremont factory. So it seems like they're finally getting affected as well. The other EVs in the market are really mostly to come, things like the F-150 Lightning, Mustang Mach-E, I think look at this month. But, it stands to reason that they would be affected along with the rest of the vehicles. So
there's sort of the thesis out there from Cathie Wood this week, which is that part of the drop in sort of traditional ICE car sales this year is coming because EVs are gaining share so rapidly. And again, I know in the grand scheme of things, these are small numbers, but we're always interested in the marginal change. Is she directionally correct?
I don't think really, because to the extent that we had 13.1 million SAR, whatever EV sales were built into that. So it's the 13.1 million SAR is not a measure of ICE vehicle sales. It's overall vehicle sales. Our consumers waiting for the EVs that are going to be coming, things like the Hyundais and the Kias and the Nissans. That's not our sense doing channel check. We think it's as simple as prices are way up, inventory is way down. Many consumers are comfortable ordering online, but frankly, the legacy OEMs are not as well equipped to sell online as the startups. And between high prices and lack of dealer inventory, we think the consumer is just going to the sidelines.
Brian, does the chip shortage play in any way to the demand side of this? I mean, do consumers actually read headlines like there's a chip shortage and say, well, I better not get an EV this quarter because I was thinking of doing it, but it seems a little scary? Or do they just not factor that in at all and they either want one of these or they don't?
Yeah, I think the chip shortage doesn't really affect the choice between EV and ICE. And I think to the extent the consumer is aware of the chip shortage, they just know that when they go to the dealer lots, there's nothing there. And whether they pay attention to Kelley Blue Book or not, certainly anecdotally, they know that prices are high and there's very few incentives out on the marketplace. So would say wait a few months to see if this blows over.
What about demand overall? I mean, there was this theory early on with EVs that you'd get a lot of fanboys and early adapters who'd buy them up, and then you'd see the demand really crest and fall away as you sort of used up that group. Are we doing that right now, or do you think there's another wave of buyers out there who are just more regular car drivers who say, you know what, this looks interesting, maybe I don't have to sit in line at a gas station?
Yeah, in the U.S., it's sort of too early to tell on that basis. We just really have the Tesla. The Bolt isn't even being sold because of the recall. The Mustang Mach-E is selling whatever they could get. But we don't really get the volume of entrants coming into the U.S. until 22 and 23. If you look at Europe, however, we've been surprised all year about the penetration of BEVs. It's running ahead of what's generally needed to keep the CO2. And the consumer uptake there has been very strong. So that bodes well for when there are more models available in the U.S.